In this video, we're going to study octaves in the key of E major. Okay, this is kind of a Smashing Pumpkins sort of move. You can do it in solos, and you can also do it in rhythm parts. Here we go. So it's basically based on the low E. Our low E string is going to ring all the time. We're never going to put any fingers on the low E because we want it to just sound out as an open string at all times. We'll never stop that low E from ringing. Okay, so the next move we're going to do is we're going to play finger 1 on the 7th fret on the A string. That's the 5th string. That's also the note E. That's kind of our home base. This is our starting point. This is where we're going to start and end the song. So this is our home base, the key of E. Okay, now what we're going to do next is we're going to play the 3rd finger in there, and it's going to go on the 3rd string, fret number 9. Okay, so you're probably wondering, but wait, what are the fingers on the 4th string? Because on the 4th string, we haven't placed any fingers there at all. That string is completely blank. Okay, well here's the answer. Our first finger, even though it's pressing down the note on the 5th string, it may accidentally bump into the 4th string just a little bit, and we actually want that to happen. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see that. My first finger is on the 5th string, but I'm also going to let it bump into the neighboring string just a little bit. So I have my 7th fret on the 5th string ringing clearly, and then if my pick were to play the 4th string sounds like this. It's just a dead string. It's not going to ring at all. Okay, so I'm going to take my pick and I'm going to go ahead and strum the 6th string and the 5th string and the 4th string and the 3rd string. So my pick is going to hit 4 strings. The audience will only hear 3 notes because one of the strings is completely dead. And that's what we want. We don't want that string to ring. We don't want the 4th string to ring out. If the 4th string rang out, it would sound terrible. Yuck. So make sure that the 4th string doesn't ring out. Make sure you mute it. Okay, so with your strum of your pick, you're going to hit 4 strings. And you're going to get 3 notes. Okay, now your pick may accidentally strum too far and it may accidentally play string 2. Okay, it doesn't matter though because string 2 is getting muted as well because my 3rd finger is muting it right there. So string 2 is also a dead string. Got no sound there. Okay, now if you accidentally play string 1, string 1's also dead. Okay, and here's the reason why. My first finger looks like I'm playing a bar, but I'm not. The side of my finger right here is bumping into string 1. You've probably had that happen on accident millions of times. Now you're trying to do it on purpose. So string 1 isn't going to ring at all. Alright, so I could possibly hit all 6 strings with my pick. Okay, and that gives me 3 notes. Gives me 3 strings that ring, and it gives me 3 dead strings. Let's go through that. So string 6 rings out, string 5 rings out, string 4, dead string. String 3, it's ringing out. String 2, dead string. String 1, dead string. Okay, now I can go crazy and I can strum like a caveman and not even strum carefully at all, and it'll still sound great. Okay, so this is not something that you carefully practice with your pick. You just hit everything. The carefulness is over here where you get this chord exactly where you want it. Okay, now once you've got this chord sounding perfect, now it's just a matter of keeping all your fingers and your hand position in its shape, and you simply move it 2 frets up the fretboard, and now you're on a different note. Now you're on F sharp. You still hit all the strings, and of course only 3 strings ring out. Kind of a dissonant one there. Okay, now if you slide 2 frets further, that puts you on a G sharp. Now this is going to sound nice and cheerful. Okay, let's cover everything you've learned so far. You started on the 7th fret, that's an E. You slid up 2 frets to the 9th fret, that's an F sharp. You slid up 2 more frets to the 11th fret, that lands you on a G sharp. Okay, obviously you can tell that the first note we played on the 7th fret, the E, it sounds great. It's always going to sound good. We're in the key of E, so this is our home base. We're always going to start there. When you go to the 9th fret, that's very dissonant. It gives you a grind. Probably can't hang out there and just play that chord for a long time and let it ring, because it's sort of like a dentist drill in your ear. If you play that chord, you may consider moving on right away and playing something else. Okay, so on the 11th fret, when you play G sharp, that sounds really nice. That's the 3rd note in this pattern. It's also called the 3rd of the chord, and it sounds very major, very cheerful. Okay, so notice so far we've always traveled 2 frets. We started on our home bass. We traveled 2 frets. We traveled 2 frets. If you start to see these patterns and memorize these patterns, you can play a lot of jam sessions in any key, as long as you know where to begin and as long as you know your pattern. Okay, so our starting point is E on the 7th fret. Go up 2 frets. Go up 2 frets. When you travel up 2 frets, that's called a whole step. Okay, now I'm going to slide it. So I'm going to take my pick and hit the first chord. Okay, but now I'm not going to use my pick. I'm going to just slide my hand. Hopefully the notes still ring. Your low E is going to keep ringing. If you keep squeezing with the fingers, the notes will ring. Okay, let's go in reverse. There we go. Okay, make a jam out of it. Take those 3 notes and make some music. Alright, it's okay to stop the playback of this lesson and just play that for a few minutes or for a few hours if you want to. Alright, but I'm going to move on and I'm going to go ahead and show you what's next. Okay, so we played the 7th fret, that's E. We played the 9th fret, that's F sharp. We played the 11th fret, that's a G sharp. Okay, now we're just going to move 1 fret more. We're going to move up a half step. Okay, that lands us on the 12th fret. Okay, so this chord sounds a little bit dissonant, but not as dissonant as some of the others. So this is kind of a, some people would call it a consonant. Some people would classify it as a dissonant. It's not so bad. It's somewhere in the middle. Okay, this is the 4th note of the pattern. And notice we've only moved up a half step. Okay, so far here are the notes we've covered. Okay, now let's continue. If you go 2 frets more, you land on a B. That's a consonant. That's going to sound really good. Okay, if you go 2 frets more, you land on C sharp. Also very cheerful. It's the 6th note of the pattern. If you go 2 frets more, you land on a D sharp. Oh, this is the most dissonant chord of the whole pattern right here. If you play that chord, you might not want to sit on it. You might want to move on to the next note. Okay, now notice that what we've just covered was moving up 2 frets, 2 frets, 2 frets. Wow, that's the same thing we did at the beginning. When we started this video, we went up 2 frets and we went up 2 frets. And you'll notice that after we just moved a half step, we continued our 2 fret jump. 2 frets, 2 frets, 2 frets. Okay, and then we're going to end this pattern by moving up 1 more fret, so we land on the 17th fret. This is the end of the pattern because this is the note E. This is just an octave higher than where we started. Okay, you don't know it, but you just learned a major scale. That was an E major scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Okay, I might just refer to it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then don't call it 8. This is 1 again. That's the same note as note 1. Okay, so now I want you to go all the way up and all the way down the pattern. Here we go. Make sure your fingers are always 2 frets apart. Okay, now let's take a moment to make some music from that. So slide from one chord to another, but this time don't go in order, and make your own music. There it is. So if you slide around on those octaves, you can make your own music, you can make your own song, and if the rest of your band is on an E chord, you're going to sound great. So I encourage you to practice this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a drum and bass track on the bottom of the screen so that you can download it and jam along. Okay, here's another example of how to slide around and make your own music. Here it goes. All right. To conclude, I will say that you can also go in this direction and play a little bit over here. But this gets a little tricky because now we're playing the backwards pattern. Remember how you played the E way up high? And then when you were playing the pattern backwards, you went down a half step. Then you went down 2 frets, and 2 frets, and 2 frets. Okay, so basically we're going to do that again, but we're going to take it from the 7th fret, which is an E, and we're just going to play the pattern you already know. So here's note 1. That's where we're starting. You go down 1 fret, that's a half step. Go down 2 frets. Go down 2 frets. Go down 2 frets. Oh, uh-oh, we can't do it. We're falling off the end of the guitar. Okay, well, that's as far as we can go. Of course, we don't want to stop there, though. We want to go back to E again. Okay, so there is a little bit of room over here to play as well, but always come back to E at the end. So here's an example where I play all over the fretboard. Okay, I hope you thought this video was helpful, and I'll see you next time.